Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So a couple months ago, I did a couple videos on what I believe to be the best free open source GRC tool there is available. And that tool is CISO Assistant. So I basically did a two-part video series. Part one, I featured how to go through the setup to set up CISO Assistant. And part two, I showed you how to begin doing your first risk assessment. So in this video today, what I wanted to do an updated setup video. And the reason I wanted to do this is because CISO Assistant, or should I say Intuitum, released a new update to CISO Assistant. And this new update features like a built-in wizard which helps simplify a lot of that setup process. Because the initial setup process, based on me doing it and based on some of the feedback I got on that video, it wasn't really as straightforward as a lot of people wanted it to be. That said, with the new updated configuration builder, it's much more streamlined, to get you up and running using CISO Assistant. So this video, as I mentioned, I want to show you how that process looks. Right, so before we jump into the technical part, I want to show you the different versions of CISO Assistant. So what I'll be showing you today is the community edition. And what I like about this edition is that it's completely free to use. So if you're a small business owner, and you don't necessarily have the money to invest in a GRC tool, this is perfect for you. You just need to read the license agreement and ensure that you're aligned with it. But yeah, this is free, and as they said, forever. Right, so this is perfect, if as a low budget entry into GRC management in terms of tools, right? And this is all the features that they have, available in the community-based edition, right? Then we have like the paid versions such as the Pro SaaS, the Pro On-Prem, and the Custom. So one of the main advantages of going with one of the paid versions like the Pro SaaS is that it has priority support, right? It also has access to some premium features that you may need, right? But chances are if you need these premium features, you may be a larger enterprise which could afford paying the 39 euros a month. Also, it has where they essentially host everything for you in their cloud platform. So with the community edition, you have to host this on your own infrastructure, right? Whether that's a local VM you have on a computer or a server, or if you want to host it on the cloud, like what I'm going to show you in this video, I'll be hosting it in a virtual machine on DigitalOcean, right? So you have to host everything, it's self-hosted as the name says, but with the Pro SaaS, it's basically a turnkey solution, right? They host everything, they make sure everything is up to date, fully patched, etc. for you, and also they do backups as well, including updates and backups. So personally, I'm gonna level with you. While I do enjoy using the community based edition, and I think it's perfect for those of you who can't afford a paid GRC tool, I think for 39 euros a month, this is great value you get. I haven't seen another tool I could compare within this price range for what you get with CISO Assistant. So I would highly recommend, if you could afford it, why not go ahead and support Intuitum and pay the 39 euros a month. Right, that said, we'll be using the community-based edition in this video. Also, you have a trial of the Pro SaaS version, right? So if you want to try this out without going through the setup steps that I am going through in this whole video to get this whole thing set up, you could just go on the free trial, sign up for that, and I think it's something like 30 or 45 days of free trial that you get using the Pro SaaS solution. So no configuration needed on your end. You just sign up and they create the whole instance for you and host it on their platform. Right, so yeah, that said, I want to get into the technical demo now. Before I do so, here are the requirements that you're going to need if you want to set up the community edition that I'm using here. And if you just want to follow along with the video, here are some of the requirements you'll need. So first off, you're going to need some sort of infrastructure to host this virtual machine, right? So that could be a local VM, say like you're using VMware Player or VMware Workstation, a local VM on your machine, right? On your local computer or server, that will work fine for this setup. right? Also, another option is if you want to host it on some sort of cloud platform where you can access it and it be publicly available without necessarily needing to do port forwarded on your local network, right? You could host it in the cloud. So for that, you'll need something like AWS, DigitalOcean, Azure, etc. In this video, I'm using DigitalOcean, right? So, you could feel free to check them out as well. Last but not least, what you're going to need is a domain name, right? This would basically be to tie the A record of the IP address of the VM or virtual instance that you'll be using to access to host CISO Assistant. So let me go over that really quickly. So first, you'll need somewhere to host CISO Assistant. Secondly, you're going to need a domain name to tie the CISO Assistant instance to if you want it publicly available. All right, so with that out of the way, let's get into the actual technical demo. So first off, I'm going to be following this guide here, how to deploy it on a VPS, because as I said, I'm going to be hosting this remotely on DigitalOcean, right? So this is the guide I'll be following. I want to actually thank one of the co-founders of Intuitum, right? A guy by the name of Abda. He provided this guide for me. Also, we actually connected with me, and met with me to walk me through certain problems I was experiencing while following the guide. So, to shout out to you, Abda, maybe I'll have him on one of these videos where he could go through CISO Assistant in more details for you, right? So if that is something you're interested in seeing, if you like one of the co-founders to join us here, comment down below and let me know and we will make it happen. So yeah, this is the guide we'll be following on how to install CISO Assistant. Alright, so what I want to do first of all, I want to head over to DigitalOcean. I want to create a virtual machine to host CISO Assistant. So I'm going to go on create droplets. I'm going to leave the region as default. I'm going to leave Ubuntu. That's what we'll be hosting it on, because essentially we need to create a Docker container. So I'll be leaving this as Ubuntu. And I am going to choose, I think this default one, the premium AMD plan with the NVMe SSD. I'm thinking I'm going to leave this as the default machine configuration. And one thing I want to say is that you need fast storage to run CISO Assistant, especially the new updates. You need a machine with fast storage in order to run it. That's why I'm leaving this default NVMe system, right? So yeah, $28 a month, that's how much it's going to cost me. And I want to create a password in order to access this VM. All right, I created a password. And that's basically it. I'm just gonna add improve metric monitoring. Since this is free, I'm just gonna add that as well and create droplet. So I'm just gonna give it a few seconds for the droplet to be created. So guys, if you wanna follow along with the video and say you don't have a subscription to DigitalOcean or AWS or something like that, if you check the link in the video description, I'm gonna leave a referral code to DigitalOcean where you can get $200 worth of free credit, right? 200 US worth of free credit to DigitalOcean, and it's risk free. You don't have to commit to anything. Feel free to check out that referral link in the video description so you could follow along with this video if you want to. All right, so as I could see, the droplet was created. So the next thing I want to do is I actually want to link this IP address. I need to create an A record for this so I can access this using a domain name. So next up, what I want to do is head over to my domain provider, because I need to create a record here that points back to the IP address of my virtual machine, right? So I'm going to copy this IP address and I'm going to create a name, right? A record. So I'm going to leave that as CISO. So I'll be using ciso.joshuastechtips.com. That's the domain name I'll be using to access CISO Assistant once I created it. So I'm going to paste the IP address here and I'm going to hit on add record. And if you want to follow along with this video and you don't have a domain provider, you want to get a domain name, right? I'm going to leave a referral link for Hostinger in the video description again, which you'll get a really good discount if you sign up with that referral link. So feel free to check out that referral link if you want to get a domain name registered as well. So once we create that DNS entry, we normally takes a couple of hours in most cases to propagate, right? So I want to check to see if it is up and running. So I'm just going to open a command prompt and I'm gonna ping ciso.joshuastechtips.com. Right, if all went well, we should, yep, all went well. As we could see, that domain name resolves this IP address. So which means the DNS entry has been propagated successfully. Right, so guys, please don't try to hack me because I'm going to destroy this machine as soon as I'm finished recording this video. So now that we have the prerequisites out of the way, what I want to do is I want to connect to this machine. Right, so to do that in DigitalOcean, they actually have a built-in tool that allows you to terminal into this VM. So I'm going to hit on console and give it a couple seconds to load up here. You could also use another terminal emulation tool such as Putty, to connect to your VM. All right, so I am connected successfully. What I want to do is I want to head back over to that guide I showed you earlier. Where is it? Oh, here it is. And I'm going to leave a link for this in the video description as well. So don't worry, you don't necessarily need to pause and memorize this. I'm going to link it in the video description. So guys, this is super simple to do. All we need to do is come over here and hit copy. And let me bring back up my terminal. And I just need to paste this here and hit enter. Right, so now it goes through the actual process of setting up this thing. So I'm going to hit Y for yes. So what it's doing essentially, first of all, let me just minimize this. As the script says, it basically does a app update, app upgrade. This basically just updates all the operating system binaries, etc. It does an update and upgrade of that. It also installs Docker, it installs Python, then it clones the actual GitHub repository of CISO Assistant, and then it goes, navigates to the folder where the config builder is located, right? So yeah, it does a bunch of those things by just running that script. Right, so this could take a couple minutes, usually a minute or two, before it returns back. So I'm just going to pause the video and we'll return here shortly. All right, so that took faster than expected. It literally took like 10 seconds after I paused the video. So what I want to do is I want to select keep the local version currently installed. I'm going to hit enter. Right, and here again now it should take a minute or two before it returns back to us. All right, so it's asking me if I want to continue. I'm going to hit Y for yes and hit enter again. All right, so this is the actual configuration builder part of the process, right? So before we didn't have this. In my initial video that I did, on the setup, if you look at that, we didn't have this part that you're seeing here, right? Basically, we needed to manually edit one of the files after, in order to propagate these values. But now it's actually incorporated in this sort of wizard, which makes it much easier to do, right? So it asks me if it's a local or VM remote installation I'm doing. So I'm doing it remotely. So I'm going to go down to VM remote, enter. Is the host internet facing and can solve an Acme challenge for TLS? Yes, it is. Why? Are you planning to use this host and access it elsewhere? Make sure to set this accordingly and handle the DNS resolution. So by default, it's set to local host. So what we need to do is we need to enter that DNS entry, that domain name that we created earlier. So that's ciso.joshuastechtips.com. Right, let me make sure that is correct. Okay, I made an error here. Right, so it's tech tips. Yeah. All right, T here. Yeah, so ciso.joshuastechtips.com. Right, that looks good. I'm going to hit enter. Right, what port do I want to use? By default, it's 8443. If we leave it as this, that's fine as well. We just need to manually enter 8443 at the end of the URL. However, I'm going to leave it at 443, which is the default port for HTTPS, right? So we won't need to manually enter that port at the end of the URL. So I'm going to leave that as that, enter. For the database, I'm going to choose SQLite. I'm going to leave Caddy as a proxy. The mail, I don't want to set up that necessarily, so I'm going to hit N, and I'm going to hit N for enable debugging mode. Alright, so that's it for the configuration builder part of things. So this is basically, the configs, as you can see here at a glance, that we entered, right? And we will be able to access the application at this URL in step 6. Okay, so the next steps are to review the generated Docker Compose custom.yml file and adjust it if it needed. I think everything should be good, right? Everything looks good based on what I'm seeing here, right? Next, what we need to do is run the docker compose.sh file and follow the instructions to create the first admin user. So that's the next thing we need to do. And last but not least, we can access our instance using this URL here, right? So we want to run the docker compose.sh. So before I do that, I want to check out my directory. So I'm going to choose ls to list the contents of the directory. So you can see we have a couple different things in this directory. And what we want to run basically is this file right here, docker compose.sh. So to do that, /docker, if I tab it out, we should be good, yes. And I'm going to hit enter. So what this will do now, this would actually begin pulling all the configurations and everything together and creating the database for us to be able to access CISO Assistant, right? One good thing about the configuration builder as well, for some reason or the other, I could not get that TLS certificate to work, right? When I followed the original instructions, if you looked at my previous video I could not get that to work. For some reason, I tried a bunch of different ways, I couldn't get it to work. The advantage with the configuration builder is that it automatically creates and adds that TLS certificate for you. So that means you'll be able to securely access the CISO Assistant, right? So instead of HTTP, you'll be using HTTPS to be able to access it, CISO Assistant, which is always a great thing to know. And this process here now could take an additional 3 minutes to complete. So let's just be patient and let it do its thing. All right, so that took about 2 minutes to complete. Now it's prompting me to create my super user. So I'm just going to enter the email address for my super user. And now it's prompted me to enter the password. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to go ahead and confirm the password. All right, so super user created successfully. So it's telling me I should now be able to access CISO Assistant via the URL that we're seeing here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and open my web browser, and if all went as expected, we should be able to access CISO Assistant. So moment of truth, and there we go. We now see the logon page. So let me go ahead and enter my credentials and hit login. And there we go. We're now inside the actual console itself. So it actually welcomes you, and you have the option to do a guided tour or load the demo data. I'm just not gonna choose either. But yeah, guys, this is the console of CISO Assistant, and I did a previous video showing you how to kind of navigate the console and get started with your first risk assessment. So feel free to check out that video as well, to kind of get some more information in terms of how to use CISO Assistant. If you want me to do some additional videos, right, because there's a bunch of different things you could do in here, such as governance, aligning with frameworks, all those kind of things, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll go ahead and create some more of these videos pertaining to CISO Assistant. Also, remember, I said one of the co-founders of CISO Assistant, a really cool guy by the name of Abda, he volunteered. He told me, he'd be more than happy to jump on one of these videos with me to share some more about this great platform that they've created. If you're interested in seeing that as well, comment down below and we'll try our best to make that happen. So guys, that brings me to the end of this video. Remember, if you like this kind of content, if you found any sort of value in it, and if you like anything related to cybersecurity, network engineering, system engineering, why not consider subscribing to the channel if you have not already, and hit on the notification bell so you'll be notified once a new video is released. As always, thanks again for viewing. See you soon.